You know, for about 3 weeks, I have been waiting for this hero to be announced. We even made a joking poll about 2 weeks ago. Is that, who will the last hero announce this cycle? Who will be the last hero announced for the cycle? 3/4 of you agreed that it'd be Rogue, because that was the majority of the choices. About a quarter of you said anyone else. And of course, the one time I'm not around is when they decided to release Rogue, and that's why this video is so late. So apologies for that, but let's dive right into Rogue because she's doing some pretty interesting things. And this is the Fantasy Flight announcement page. Again, this is all we know so far about her as of recording this video is what's on this page. But we have to start with Anna Marie, her alter ego, because they don't have a little punch out thing for it, but that's all right. 3 recovery, 6 hand size, 11 hit points. Your setup is to set your touched upgrade aside, and you have a force response after you change this form, set touched aside. Okay, we'll get into what all that means in a minute. So, Rogue herself is a 2/2/2 hero, which is great. I feel like we're seeing a lot of these 2/2/2 heroes recently. Maybe it's not. Maybe it just stands out more than usual. But it's always a really good stat line, really balanced. She's 5 hand size and 11 hit points. 11 hit points in general has been pretty beefy for X-Men. I think that's the most any X-Men has been, right? Because there's been a few that came out with only 9. So I guess Colossus has more, but a bunch that came out with 9, right? So anyway. Her skin contact action attached touched to another character. You gain each of the attached character's traits until the end of the round. Limit once per round. Okay, cool. After the player phase begins, find touch and set it aside. So it comes unattached each time. So the way touch works, it's a null upgrade. So it doesn't have a cost. You just put it in play. If it's attached to a minion, your attacks gain overkill, which is really, really great, right? Anytime you can do overkill on a minion really helps out in general. On the villain, Rogue gains Retaliate, which is pretty good, right? Super helpful. On an ally, Rogue gains the aerial trait, which isn't bad. I'm happy with the way they've supported the aerial trait in recent cycles. It's probably not something I'll use a lot on an ally, unless there's like some crazy card I'm planning to use, like a die bomb or whatever. But it's probably not one I'll do. But with the hero one, it's kind of interesting that Rogue will gain Stalwart. So if you use touched on Rogue, from my understanding how this will all work is, let's say you are stunned and or confused, you could put this card on yourself, and then it clears out your stun and you're confused, right? Because you can't be stunned and confused with Stalwart, so it should clear out those cards, which is pretty interesting, right? It's a easy way to clear stun and confuse, which as a solo player is one of those things that always kind of like slows down your pace. So to be able to just clear them out really, really helps. So that's a really cool and interesting thing that they're doing there. All right, so let's get into our events. She has a 2-cost event, going Rogue. It's a superpower. Again, we're seeing a lot of superpower cards. Death Focus is basically becoming a staple in almost every single X-Men deck. It's a thwart action. Hero action, thwarts. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. If Rogue has the aerial trait, you can remove 2 additional threats. So it'll be a 2 for 5, which is pretty good. If she has Retaliate, you can confuse an enemy. Again, for solo, this is huge. Being able to just confuse an enemy is really, really nice for being able to just flip back down when you need to. And Stalwart is let you draw a card, right? So if it's on yourself, you get to draw a card. All really, really good things in general for a 2-cost event. Really strong. All right, so a 3-cost event. This is one of our attack cards. Southern Cross, hero action, deals 6 damage to an enemy. If Rogue has, again, aerial, you deal 2 additional 8 damage, so it becomes a 3/8 card. Retaliate, you can now stun that enemy, which is great. And Stalwart, you still get to draw a card, right? More card draw ability, which is always cool. 1-cost event, the Bulletproof Bell. It's a hero interrupt. When an enemy with touch attached to it attacks, prevent all damage from that attack and gain a tough status. The second half of that sentence is what's nuts, is that you can gain a tough status card, right? So you have a big attack from Ronin or somebody, it will do absolutely nothing to you, and then you get to put tough on as well. For 1 cost, it's huge as long as touched is currently on your hero, right? That's the one thing you have to pay attention to. 0-cost event, superpower adaptation, hero action. If touch is attached to a friendly character, this is yourself, an ally, whomever, search its owner's discard pile, and again, this could be a teammate, for an event that belongs to the same classification of that character, right? Identity specific, the aspect, or just a basic card. Add that event to your hand. Now, for a solo player, this is kind of whatever, right? It probably won't matter as much. But as far as multiplayers go, I'm sure that they're looking at this and they're thinking of some crazy cool things that they can probably do with this. For solo players, it's it's not going to be that great, except for you could just basically use it to take a card that you want in your own discard pile and put it back in your hand, right? So not that it's a dead card or a useless card for solo, but I feel like the cooler things you're going to be able to do is multiplayer with this, right? Is to do some cool stuff there. But as far as solo goes, it's a good card, right? It's a fine card. It'll be nice to be able to get either, you know, your attack back in, or your threat removal back in, like stuff like that's gonna be really nice. Then we have a 2-cost event, energy transfer. After touch to a character other than rogue, I'm sorry, attached. Jeez. Attached touched to a character other than rogue and deal 2 damage to that character. Heal 2 damage from rogue and ready her. Anytime you have healing on a hero for solo, it's absolutely huge, and it gives her ready. That's nuts. You gain each of the attached characters traits at the end of the round. It's a really strong card. It's really cool. Again, anything that heals you is kind of big, especially on expert. An expert, anything solo, you need to be able to heal, because flipping down is usually really tough. And then her signature ally, not too surprising, is Gambit. 3-cost ally, 2/2/3. A Gambit enters play with 3 charge counters on him. When Gambit attacks, remove 1 charge counter from him, deal 1 damage to the enemy. So you can basically do 3 attack each round if you so choose. So then we get into the other cards in here. There's Iceman, 3-cost 1, 2, 3 protection. He enters with 3 counters. Pretty cool that you can, after a minion enters play, you can remove a freeze counter and stun that minion, right? It kind of gets a Hawkeye vibe of just stunning that minion right away, which is nice instead of just dealing damage, which is kind of a bit nicer nowadays, because while Hawkeye is still good, a lot of the minions have more than 2 life, so to be able to stun them for a round and be able to attack them for 2 rounds is really helpful. Judoka, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing skills. It's 2-cost upgrade. Uses 3 judo counters. Max 1 per player. When you defend against an enemy attack, remove 1 judo counter from here. That enemy gets -2 for that attack. That's really strong and really good. There's a lot of heroes that can make good use of this. -2 attack is kind of huge. So not today, a 1-cost event. Hero interrupt. When your hero defends against attack, it gets +2 for that attack. If you take no damage from that attack, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So protection, getting a lot of bumps here. This is a really strong card as well. Really like it. 2-cost support, Moira MacTaggart. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize. Play only if you are a mutant, right? So generally speaking, this is going to be you only play on your alter ego side. And after a mutant alter ego changes into hero form, exhaust this card. That hero's controller draws 1 card. Pretty cool, right? Especially for solo, if you have to like flip down, flip back up. This will be probably more useful in multiplayer, realistically, because in multiplayer you're flipping down, flipping back up more often. In solo, it's not bad, but you get to draw a card, right? You get card draw. So multiplayer, I think, is gonna be a pretty strong card for solo. I think it'll be all right. So this one's really cool. It's a 1-cost upgrade, X Gene. Play only if your identity has the mutant trait. Max 1 per player. So you exhaust X Gene and you generate a wild resource for an identity specific event, right? So you have to play it pretty much always on the alter ego side, right? Most of the time, that's what the mutant side is. But once you play, it's a 1-cost upgrade. You can generate a resource for your identity specific cards, which for a lot of the X-Men now is the vast majority of cards you want to play, right? Like the majority of cards you want to play are identity specific. At a 1-cost upgrade, this is a bit strong, I think, maybe a bit too strong, but this is gonna be a card that I'm gonna put in pretty much every single X-Men deck now. There's no reason not to. A lot of the expensive cards that I want to play nowadays are the identity specific cards. So for a 1-cost upgrade, that's huge. That's absolutely huge to be able to get that in. So big fan of X Gene. It's probably going to be in every single deck that I play. All right, so then they're going to have the Reavers. Donald Pierce, a 1/16. Elite Reaver comes in with teamwork. So they're really leaning to this teamwork thing with minions, which is just pretty cool. He's also villainous. After he engages you, reveal a topmost Reaver minion from the discard pile, which could really stink, right? Because then both of them would activate against you. Skullbuster is another Reaver. 2/2/5. After Skullbuster engages you, place 1 threat in the main scheme for each Reaver minion engaged with you. Generally speaking, this seems like it's going to be pretty rough. Bonebreaker, 1/3/5. Comes with toughness. After he engages you, take 1 indirect damage for each Reaver minion engaged with you. Wei Cole, 1, 2, 3. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for a copper of cybernetic enhancements and attachment and attach it to Wei Cole. And then there's this card in general, attach a minion, otherwise card gains surge. They get a +1 attack, right? They get a +1 attack, and they can't take damage, which is always a rough time. So anyway, that is pretty much the entire page. You can read through the whole thing. Now, of course, the big things that we haven't seen is it'd be interesting if Southern Cross is the only attack that is in Rogue deck. Maybe not. It seems like there's always been like a medium attack in there, right? That they had like the big hitting attack, and then they had kind of like a medium one that does like more damage to a bunch of different people. We haven't seen her obligation, and we haven't seen her nemesis, so we can't really speak to them yet. I'm going to assume obligation is going to be something with touched, right? You're not going to be able to do it. That would thematically make the most sense. Her nemesis, I have no idea, but it's probably going to be rough. But it's pretty interesting that they did not release any of that yet. So, yeah. But yeah, so that is everything with Rogue. I'm going to have a longer video on some of this stuff, but it really feels like we had our first 4 heroes of this cycle, which were generally geared one way to this game, I think. And then these last 4 heroes with Wolverine, Storm, Gambit, and Rogue kind of feel like very different heroes, right? It almost feels like they were designed completely separately. And I'm going to get into another video in the future of why I think this is in a bit. But as a solo player, I love Rogue. I think she looks really strong. I think she looks interesting. She has more depth than I thought she was going to, which is always great to see. I have to say, the second half of these X-Men heroes, I've been really impressed with. I've been really excited with. It makes me excited for the next cycle of X-Men and what they're going to do. Yeah, there's so many different directions they can go. So we'll see what it is. But I've been pretty excited. So anyway, down in the comments, let me know your thoughts of Rogue, what you like, what you don't like. So far, I think she looks pretty interesting. She looks, again, like I said, there's going to be more choices with her than I thought there was going to be with how you use the touched upgrade. I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, do me a huge favor, scroll down, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to turn on notifications so you know when new videos come out. Leave that comment to let me know, what you think of Rogue. And then if you're interested in joining this channel to support it, there should be a join button down below. If it's not there, there's a link down below as well for join, and you can check it out and see if any of those tiered memberships interest you. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped. I'm pretty excited. I think this is a good way to end the first cycle of X-Men. And yeah, I'm excited to get her to the table. So I'll see you all next time.